Hey everyone, and welcome back to Love Hackers, your daily dose of dating advice. I'm Alex Carter.
And I'm Sophie Tanaka.
So today we're going to be diving deep into a topic that's
A little spicy.
a little spicy, a little controversial.
Right.
Why are some men drawn to women who exhibit what some might call crazy behavior?
The infamous crazy girl.
Yeah, so we're going to try to decode this dating mystery, and more importantly, arm you with the knowledge to spot those red flags early on.
Yeah, because nobody wants to get caught up in that kind of whirlwind.
Exactly. So where do we even begin with this? Like, is it really just about guys wanting a wild ride, or is there something deeper at play?
I think it's a lot more complex than just wanting a wild ride. These relationships, they can be really addictive.
Addictive.
Yeah, think about it. The initial thrill, the intensity, the highs and lows, it creates this cycle that can be really hard to break free from.
So you're saying it's like they get hooked on the emotional volatility.
Exactly. And that makes you wonder sometimes, are they consciously choosing this? Or are there other factors that are influencing their choices?
Like what kind of factors?
Well, societal expectations can play a role.
Interesting.
How so?
Well, there's all this pressure on men,
Right.
right? To be strong and stoic and to never show vulnerability.
Right.
And that can make it hard to connect on a deeper emotional level in relationships.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
So they might find themselves drawn to this intensity and over-the-top affection that often comes with these types of relationships.
So you're talking about love bombing, right?
Exactly. It can be really seductive,
Mhm.
especially if someone is not receiving that kind of attention elsewhere.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It feeds a need for validation and creates this powerful sense of connection, even if it's unhealthy.
Right.
And we can't forget about the elephant in the room here. The stereotype that often gets attached to this whole crazy girl thing. The idea that crazy equals wild and adventurous in the bedroom. I mean, I'm sure that plays a role for some people too. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a factor for some. But it's really important to remember that a healthy relationship built on respect, trust, and genuine connection, that's always going to be more fulfilling than one that's solely based on excitement or just physical attraction.
For sure. So how do we navigate this? How do we tell the difference between someone who's genuinely interested and someone who's waving those red flags?
Well, that's where understanding the warning signs comes in. And one thing that this article highlights is to be cautious about dating single moms.
Okay, this is where things are going to get a little bit controversial,
Mhm.
right? It's important to say that we're not saying all single moms fit into a certain mold.
Of course not. It's
Yeah.
not about making sweeping generalizations. But the article suggests it's something to consider. Because, there might be more complexities or emotional baggage from previous relationships. That could make building a new relationship challenging.
Okay, so it's about understanding individual circumstances and not jumping to conclusions based on someone's relationship status. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly. Another red flag to watch out for is a woman who constantly feels like everyone is against her. Always complaining, seeing enemies everywhere.
It's like a the world is out to get me kind of mentality.
Precisely. It could be a sign of paranoia, or just a tendency to find fault, or unrealistically high expectations of others. And those expectations will likely extend to you if you get involved.
Yeah, that sounds exhausting, to be honest. Speaking of exhausting, another red flag we need to talk about is obsessive behavior. What are some things to watch out for there?
Oh, well, think about constant texting, extreme jealousy attempts to control your every move.
Oh, yeah.
These are some serious warning signs that can point to an unhealthy attachment style.
I can just picture it now, someone blowing up your phone if you don't respond to a text within 5 minutes.
Exactly. And this kind of behavior, it can turn toxic really quickly and emotionally draining for the person on the receiving end.
Okay, so we've covered single moms, paranoia, obsessive behavior. What's next on our list of red flags?
Well, this one can be a little bit tricky. But the article suggests paying attention to whether a woman strongly identifies with groups known for being confrontational or always seeking out conflict.
I can see how this one could be interpreted in a lot of different ways. It's important to clarify, we're not saying everyone in certain groups is automatically crazy, right?
Of course not.
Right.
We're not trying to stereotype anyone here. It's more about, you know, recognizing potential compatibility issues early on.
Right.
If someone's core beliefs revolve around conflict and negativity, it's going to be tough to build a healthy relationship with them.
That makes sense. I mean,
Right.
you probably wouldn't want to date someone who thrives on drama and arguments.
Exactly. And again, it's not about judging individuals or making blanket statements. It's about being aware of potential red flags so you can make, informed decisions.
Okay, so moving on, another big red flag we need to address is the victim mentality.
Yeah, this one can manifest in a couple of ways. One is constantly blaming others for their problems. They never take responsibility for their own actions or choices.
It's always someone else's fault, never theirs.
Right. And the other form of victim mentality is using guilt and manipulation to control others.
Oh, I know this one. It's like the classic, if you really loved me, you would
Oh,
line.
exactly. It's a way of shifting blame and avoiding accountability. And it can be so damaging to a relationship.
Speaking of damaging behavior, the article also mentions being rude to service staff as a major red flag.
This one's a classic for a reason. How someone treats people they perceive as, beneath them really speaks volumes about their character.
It's like if they're snapping at the waiter or acting entitled, it's a pretty good indicator of how they might treat their partner down the line.
Exactly. It's all about respect and empathy. And if those qualities are lacking in their interactions with, strangers, it's definitely a red flag.
Okay, last but not least, we have the infamous "I'm not like other girls" declaration.
Yes. This one, it can be a little bit more subtle, but it often reveals underlying insecurities and a need for validation.
Yeah, I always picture, a girl rolling her eyes at a group of women and saying, ugh, they're
Yeah.
so basic, I'm not like them.
Exactly. And while it might seem harmless on the surface, it usually indicates that she's trying to distance herself from other women and present herself as special or superior.
So taking a step back and looking at all of these red flags, is there a deeper explanation for why some men are drawn to these behaviors, beyond just liking the drama?
Often there are some underlying issues at play, past trauma, lack of a stable father figure, negative experiences with other men. These can all contribute to the behaviors we've been discussing.
So it's not really about the crazy itself,
Mm-hmm.
but about understanding the potential root causes.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to encourage professional help. If you're in a relationship with someone exhibiting these red flags,
Because trying to fix them yourself is probably not the best approach.
exactly, it's not your responsibility to heal their wounds. You can offer support and encouragement, but ultimately, they need to seek professional help to address those deeper issues.
What about those of us who might already be in a relationship with someone exhibiting some of these behaviors? What advice do you have for them?
Well, first and foremost, prioritize your own well-being, set clear boundaries, and don't be afraid to walk away if those boundaries are consistently violated.
It's tough though, right?
Yeah,
Because you care about the person, so you want to help.
I know. It's easy to get caught up in that, but protecting yourself has to be the priority.
Okay, so just to kind of wrap things up, it seems like the main takeaway here is that while this whole crazy girl thing might seem exciting on the surface or even intriguing, you really need to be able to recognize those red flags and focus on building healthy relationships.
Couldn't agree more. Don't settle for drama and chaos when you deserve a love that's built on respect, trust, and mutual understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. So to all of our listeners out there, our love hackers, pay attention to those red flags. Choose partners who bring joy and stability into your life.
And if you're in a relationship right now, that feels more like a roller coaster than a safe and loving space. Don't hesitate to seek out professional guidance for yourself or encourage your partner to do the same.
Great advice. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. I want to thank you for joining us on Love Hackers, your daily dose of dating advice.
I'm Sophie Tanaka.
And I'm Alex Carter. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this episode with your friends. You know anyone who might need a little help navigating the dating world. We'll be back tomorrow with more dating tips and tricks. Until then, happy dating, everyone.